Hello, it's me. And you know this 'cause you're on my page and here to watch me. You like my remix? Hi everyone. Hello. Hi friends. Hi Ehime. Ehime has entered the chat, everyone. I'm just going to do a quick preface though. Hello all who are watching, whether you are watching live or you are watching in retrospect. Hopefully Instagram lets me post this one because I've been being blocked, baby. But we're going to ask the gods of the technology to be with us and on our side today so that we can get some healing, everybody. Today I am doing a live with my friend Ehime Ora, who is an amazing healer and writer and just a spiritualist who is here to enlighten us. And today we're going to be discussing our spirit teams, how to activate yourself, how to activate your spirit body, connect with your spirit teams, and use their help to transmute all of the nasty, intense feelings that we're going through. Because everything that's happening right now is purposefully done. Sorry, let me get something up. And then I put in there real quick. Everything is done to cipher our energy, to take our energy from us and to be able to use it. Because energy is the only currency of this reality. I want everyone to understand this. Money is not good or bad. Money is an energy that can work out well or not well for you. Okay? And obviously there are very real systems in place that keep people away from certain truths, certain realities, and all of the above. So what we're going to unlock today and talk about today is how you just sitting there wherever you are, how you are an actual magical being. You are a spiritual being. You are a body of light who is extremely charged antenna frequency, emitter, creator, and absorber. And when you understand this truth and you tap in with your ancestors, your angels, your guides, and beings of the light who are here to assist humanity in its ascension, when you tap in with that and you get acquainted and you do the things that you need to be doing to make sure that you're asking them for help and you're asking them for permission. They need your permission is what I mean. So we're about to do this, okay? Ehime, can you send me a request, babes? Let me see if Oh, here we go. Let's see. Yay! Hello!
How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm really good. Thanks for asking.
Yes, I mean, I know that this is kind of like, these are the formalities of where we're at right now. Obviously, shit is real, and I'm feeling a lot of different things. But yeah, that's why I wanted to invite you here to this space. I've been following you for a long time, but I want you to, of course, introduce yourself to everyone so that they know who they get the pleasure of speaking with today.
Of course. My name is Ehime Ora. I'm the author of Ancestor Said and my upcoming book, Spirits Come From Water, An Introduction to Ancestral Veneration and African Spirit. I'm an initiated priestess in Ifa, Shango, and Rinle, and Oshun. And I also do my ancestral practices, Edo, and Yoruba spirituality. So that's me.
Beautiful. Okay. I would love to start with where are you from originally? How did you find your spiritual path?
So I'm originally from Ibadan, Nigeria. I was born there. And I immigrated to the States with my family at a pretty young age. And it was like, I always kind of tell this story of my mother. My mother is a very foundational person for me when it comes to my spiritual practices. And my mother struggled a lot with homesickness. As you know, Nigeria and a lot of African countries are very community oriented. It's very communal living. And then when you're sucked in by all the individualistic nonsense of you don't owe nobody anything, you heal by yourself, and it's a very isolated feeling that really kind of seeped deep into my mother, and it made her actually be sick. She was actually sick with homesickness, and her being on the bedside on my mother on a school night with all my siblings, and she would just tell us stories of my ancestors, stories of like water spirits and mermaids, of like rubber trees and like palm oil and things that I was just so enamored by as a kid. And I saw how it kind of replenished my mother in a way. And that was like basically my introduction to ancestral veneration, through oral storytelling, through remembering the feeling. And that kind of essentially just segued into formal practice with my ancestors, and just inevitably getting initiated into Ifa and Orisha practice.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to touch on, like you said, the practice of storytelling in Indigenous communities, and the way that that ties to our connection with spirit, our ability to, like you said, your mom being away from home was literally physically homesick because she missed being able to be in that essence of a homeland, you know, the land, the people, the culture, the connection that you have not only to yourself but to those who came before you, which is such an important and vital piece of being alive, in order for us to really be able to feel grounded enough to be brave, to be strong, and to be restful and easeful and present, as much in love as we are in combating, you know, in fighting for freedom and liberation in their names, for those who have not been able to, or who have had to leave their homes and be homesick because of the effects of colonization and all of the things that we have experienced as a global community, you know? So I really wanted to get into ancestor veneration, and I want you to just tell us more about that, expand on that. I have a practice myself, of course. I'm Cuban American, and I grew up Catholic, essentially, you know, but my mother and her family were very influenced by Espiritismo and Santeria.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, you know, we just have a lot of spiritual practices and things that were in I'm saying I'm involucrado is what I want to say in Spanish, but like which were tied into whatever Catholicism was being practiced. They were like, you know, put this cup of water under your bed and we're gonna light a candle for the grandmother, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's things that grounded back to a rooted spirituality outside of institutional religions, which have completely desecrated people's connection with God, because people are so confused about what God means. Because they use God's name to do demonic things. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, I feel deeply that having ancestral knowledge, using the connection with those who came before us, even those who weren't great people, you know what I mean? Like, because I don't have perfect ancestors, as you can tell. You know what I mean? There are not, I don't have a perfect lineage, but I do have a mixed lineage, and I do have an obligation because of my lineage to reconnect, to heal through myself, and heal through changing and fundamentally rewiring the ways that I've been taught, that we've all been taught to believe the world is, and our connection to spirit is. So I would love for you to share more about your like connection with your ancestors, and how you maintain that, how you honor that.
Yeah, like honestly, to kind of begin with like the storytelling aspect, I think that's something that is so profound, especially so many people
Ooh.
displaced from their homelands. And that is why culture will never sincerely die out, because of the passing down of stories of ancestral wisdom through generations. That is why oral heritage is so incredible. And you know, even that we see it from African on the continent to the diaspora, Brazil, Cuba, Caribbeans, America, etc., and how spirituality has been preserved through incredible traumatic times, through oppressive times. and also how spirituality inherently is resilience, how ancestral practices is inherently resilience, is actually revolutionary. And they know that it is because, I'm an African art historian, and I've done so many research when it comes to like museums and, the topic of returning items back to their homeland. A lot of colonial forces know that these tools, these artworks that are embedded with spirits in the vessels that are on ancestral altars, are inherently powerful, and they can create meaningful change and victory in lives. That is why when the British would come to Nigeria, they would extract all of the artwork and put it between museums, put it behind glass, and inherently create a separation. And when you take people's tools, when you take people's ancestral technology, their altars, their sculptures, their places of worship, and then you make them more vulnerable to brainwashing, you make them more vulnerable to tyranny, more vulnerable to oppression, which is why oral heritage and remembering is so important. Because when you have no tools, you have yourself and you have the feeling. That is why, someone who teaches people about ancestral veneration, I really want the focus to be on the body. And the body can be a very traumatic experience for a lot of folks who are colonized and oppressed, because it's so out of just life, which is how things are. But the body is where our ancestors reside. They reside here in the feeling, and they walk with us wherever we're going. And I think, when it comes to utilizing ancestral practices for resilience, it's firstly reclaiming the body, and firstly trying our best to be safe within our own vessels, and being still and breathing and feeling the creator, because it's through generations that extend all the way back to time and stardust, back before nothing existed, back to inherently the creator. And the creator breathes into ourselves so we can remember ourselves. That's like why an Ifa concept of the Ori is so incredibly important, which is the head. Our head breathes life, and the head is what fills us with the creator's love and also the creator's courage to stand up for what's right, to be resilient, to fight against those who can't fight. I think about that, and I think about reincarnation and this process within Ifa, this proverb about reincarnation that says, let's do things with joy. Those that want to go can go. Those that want to come can come. Surely human beings were chosen to bring the good into this world. Humanity was chosen. Human beings were chosen to elevate the collective earth, for earth to be in a space that is just like heaven, the unseen realm, without corruption, without discrimination. It is our choice as human beings. It's our divine right, actually, to be a good person, to stand up for what's right, to make sure that we are not creating unnecessary wickedness and evil onto this world, that we are respecting spirit in everything.
In the land, especially.
Especially the land. And that is also just why, even when I think about how the Western world is incredibly very mechanical, and it denies spirit, even though everybody be practicing their own little European practice. Okay, they be denying spirit for folks who are the global majority, calling it demonic, calling it wicked, evil activities, things like that, and making you believe that there's not spirit in everything. Spirit exists in everything, in the waters, in the atmospheres, in the world around us. Spirit is embedded with everything. And if we were more, as a global conscious, more aware of that spiritual signature, there wouldn't be oil spills happening in the ocean. There wouldn't be deforestation.
There wouldn't be white phosphorus. There wouldn't be wars.
Anything that could really hurt the environment and the human beings within it would have disappeared entirely.
It really doesn't make any sense.
At all. Indigenous practices, ancestral veneration is nature. It's actually the veneration of nature, because the nature is also our ancestors.
And nature is cycles. Nature exists in cycles. We exist in cycles. We are recycled energy from those who came before us and those who will come next. We are all borrowed energy in existing as different iterations of each other in the same space. And see, the reason why it's so important, and I feel like I want to bring this topic up right now in this particular time, is because what we're witnessing right now as a collective across the world, not only in Palestine, but in the Congo, in Sudan, in Tigray, in all over the African continent, all over the South American continent, all over the United States, the American continent, all over. We have seen this over and over again, and we are in a cycle of violence. We are in a cycle of violence that is not ever going to break until we each break out of our own cycles of violence towards ourselves, towards our communities, and towards our realities. And it is only possible when we remember that we are one with everything. And it is only possible when we remember that we need to remember our ancestors' ways, because all of us have ancestors in our lineages. Maybe not all of us, but most of us have the capacity and have somebody along the way who was either a victim of these systems or who perpetrated these systems. And it is our responsibility in this now moment, in the only reality that all of us know, which is this exact moment we're living in right now, okay? It is our responsibility to reconnect with that truth, to reconnect with our light, to reconnect with our history, with why we're here, especially all of us here in the United States. I think it's imperative in this moment, because we are in the belly of the beast of the empire. And it is our tax dollars, our labor, and our ignorance that allows these things to perpetuate. It is our individualism, it is our selfishness, it is our inability to see the ways that we contribute to the greater things, and our indifference to it and our apathy towards it that enables the perpetuation of it. And so the more of us that realize this, the more people with European descent as well who understand, awaken, and are actively activated against these systems by honoring those who came before us, who are worthy of that honoring, and who are willing to learn from the mistakes and embody that in you now. And then also, that aside, that's just from the perspective to awaken those of us who have indigenous ancestry, which all of us do, okay, because we all came from indigeneity at some point, all of us, okay, to access that wisdom and to ask for their help in the midst of what is happening, especially when we are triggered. Because all of the propaganda that we see, all of the things on social media, all of the like very horrendous, gruesome, just violent shit that we're subjected to consume, or we consume in the idea of knowing, in the idea of like, I want to keep up, or I want to know, even if it's consumed with the intention of I want to just witness and like bear witness to the pain, you know, it is still traumatizing to experience and traumatizing to absorb. And know that we live in a reality where we can live stream this shit and still have world leaders deny the reality that we are all witnessing. That is spiritual warfare as much as it is psychological warfare. That is active denial of what so many people's history and experience is, and that we carry through oral tradition, even if they get to write history, that we carry through our traditions even when they get to rewrite and tell and use their media to demonize the things that actually connect us to our humanity, the indigenous ways. And that is different across the world. There are so many different cultures with different traditions, with different reasons, but there is a center at the end of it all. There is a source at the end of it all, and there is humanity within the balance of it all. And that is the most important thing that we are not looking at right now. We are not allowing the humanity of the moment to be what is guiding our conscience and guiding our actions. And that is because we are spiritually destitute as a collective. So many of us are so disconnected, not only from ourselves, but from our truth, from the power of our ancestry, from the power of our angels, from the power of our guides, who are so there are a plethora, there are an array. Not all of us have the same ones. Not all of us have the same people on our team. Not all of us have amazing people on our team. Some of us have to transmute some shit before we get to work with our teams. Some of us have to elevate before we get real access to who we really need access to do the things that we're supposed to do on this planet. But each of us has a mission, especially in this moment. We are the 7th generation. We are the indigo children. We are the rainbow children. We are the ones who are here to awaken a mass awakening on this planet. And it is imperative for us to understand our collective power when we wake up to that truth, because we are in control. It is our energy that they siphon. It is our labor that they siphon. It is our money that they use. There's no legitimacy to anything that they do. Their only intention and their only goal ever is complete domination, coercion, and control, and homogeny. They want to be the only thing that exists, the only superior thing, and they will do anything to get there, especially if it is not in balance and in accordance with harmony and truth. And they will do anything in their power, because they have a lot of power and they have a lot of money. They will do anything and everything to disconnect us from each other, from the land, from our cultures, from our spiritual practices. It is imperative. That's why the first war of colonization was missions, missionaries, the Inquisition. Yeah. All of these people who are like, you know what, if you don't believe what I believe, I'm going to burn you at the stake and torture you. If you don't believe what I believe that you need to be completely obliterated off the planet. But you're the terrorist. But you're the scary thing. But you're the demon. It's pure projection. Projection, chaos, and confusion are all of demonic forces, are all of evil forces, of Osobo. It has nothing to do with the light that all of us embody and that all of us are from, and that all of us have the capacity to bring into reality in this realm.
That is so,
yeah.
And it's so true. It's real.
And it's all of us. We all have a history with this. Every single one of us is living in a diaspora of colonization, of people descendants of people who survived, who were resilient, who moved through so much. You can't even imagine how much of a miracle it is that you are alive and breathing and potentially free enough to do something in this moment. That is a miracle. That is not an accident. That is divinely orchestrated, and you need to tap in. Like, it's not a question of when, it's a now. This is that moment that when you were little, when you thought you were supposed to be here to save the world, and you were thinking about that, and you were like, damn, I'm really a savior of some sort. Like, if all of you have that, I know so many of us have that, like, who are like, I'm supposed to change things. I'm supposed to make this world a better place. I'm supposed to help people. Yes. But you got to help you first. And you help you by elevating your lineage. You help you by elevating your consciousness, elevating your frequency, so that you can operate in such a space and in such a way where you can affect real life change on this planet with your energy. Even if we have no other tangible tools, with our energy. They can have guns, they can have this, they can have tanks, they can have missiles that serrate people, they can have white phosphorus, they can invest all of our money into all of the things that are going to completely destroy everything in its path. But they could never have even an ounce of the energy of light that we're all capable of if we actually collectively understand our power. They can't even fathom. They can't even fathom. And they're scared of it. They're scared of it. That's why they have to use propaganda. That's why they spend billions of dollars trying to confuse us, trying to tell us the truth isn't the truth, trying to blind us, trying to separate us, incarcerate us, separate us from our communities, our families, harass, torture, psychologically. They do all of these things with tactics to disconnect you from who the fuck you are and where the fuck you come from, what you come from. You're a miracle. Okay? Like, sorry, but I want you to also like share like tangible ways that people can connect with their ancestors and honor them. I want you to share the way that you do, and then I'll share how I do it so that we can both like just share our perspectives. Go ahead.
I just honestly love all that you said. Our ancestors truly teach us how to survive. And with their wisdom, we will survive and we will be victorious and we will all be free. And after we kind of like get to know our ancestors and the feeling, there's a way that we can set up an ancestor altar that is quite simple to just initiate in conversation with our ancestors. You're just gonna need to space over like a flat surface, and you can just add the basic elements to it: a candle, a cup of water. You can add incense if you like, earth, flowers, crystals, shells, whatever you like, and create this space with prayer. Charge that space with prayer. Call down your ancestors and say, ancestors, I'm beginning to connect. I would like for you to guide me on this journey. I would like for you to guide me on this path. I want to open myself to you. And laying offerings or food offerings to kind of charge them with more energy so they're able to.
Sorry, you're breaking up. Say that again.
Yes, I'm sorry. And I talking about laying offerings on the altar space, offerings which is food offerings or even liquor offerings, so they have actual energy to execute, right? And bring in, you know.
It's still breaking up. I'm so annoyed.
Fine.
Oh no.
Okay. Am I good now?
I think. Oh yeah. Try again.
Perfect. So okay, where should I start?
I think just like so we're talking about setting up an ancestral altar. So first you need a designated space, you said.
Yes.
And to involve the elements.
Which are fire, water, earth, air. You can have a candle for that, a cup of water, a plant, crystals. You can have air and ether, which is the fifth element, is our ancestors. And it's also prayer. Prayer is the way that we make things actually happen. And if we lay down the materials on that altar space and we speak down prayer, calling down our ancestors and ask, ancestors, I'm trying to connect with you. I want to open myself up to you on this journey of ancestral veneration. You're charging your altar space with the presence of your ancestors. And laying food offerings or even liquor offerings is also a way that we can provide our ancestors with energy. Because just like you and me need food and things to drink, so do our ancestors in the unseen realm. And they'll utilize these offerings to give force to whatever you're trying to create into your reality. And ancestral altars, what I like the most about them is that they're incredibly accessible and that everyone and anyone can do it. And even it's something that you can even take into your community and create community altar buildings in which this will now be a place for prayer for the lands, the ancestors that live in the lands, prayer for those who have recently passed because of or tyranny. And we can uplift their spirits together. It is a collective ancestral veneration practices that kind of happen then. And ancestral veneration is also being aware how our ancestors are speaking to us in our environment. I think once you kind of start with an actual ancestral altar and you open yourself up to the signs that sit in like the water, how the candle is burning, what's going on in the around the atmosphere of your altar space, you take that out to your real world and you see just how the trees are speaking, the birds are speaking, the weather is speaking, and you see the way that your ancestors are just not just in the lineage, but they extend everywhere in the ecosystem, in the environment around us. And that can be utilized to bring in messages and favor for us as we kind of create a new reality for ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like the messages are everywhere at all times. Nature is always communicating with us, and our guides are always communicating with us through that. On top of ancestor veneration, which is, I think, super important. Thank you for sharing like tangible ways that people can connect and get to know their own personal things. Another thing for me that I think helps is like little pictures or things of my ancestors that belong to them. Like for my grandma, for example, I have a picture of her when she was younger, and I have like her lipstick, like her red lipstick that she would always wear every single day, like I have on the altar for her as well. Like just things that remind her or you of your of their life here. And it's you know, I know a lot of people hear these kinds of things and then they're immediately maybe indoctrinated or programmed to believe that things are like this are demonic. But whether you like it or not, spirits are here, and we are spirits. We are spirits, and energy is neither created nor destroyed. That's a scientific fact that all of us agreed to. And so what we do when we honor our ancestors is we acknowledge and we make light of and we bring in the wisdom of our of those who came before us, so that it can strengthen our energy here on this planet, so that it can guide our energy here on this planet, so that we can learn from mistakes, so that we can evolve ourselves beyond what they could be given the circumstances that they were given. And in that, in and through our ascension and our healing, we honor them. We honor them through living, through being alive, and through carrying their memory and their wisdom with us in everything that we do, and also opening ourselves up to their wisdom. They are constantly trying to speak with us, constantly trying to protect us, and most of them do anyways, even if we're not conscious of it. But when you become conscious and aware of something, this is quantum physics as well if we want to talk science, right? When you become aware of something, it becomes more alive. It becomes more capable of assisting you in your reality, in the quantum reality that we all live in right now, you know? And so even beyond ancestors, there are angels that I think are really important to shout out. Like there's angels are like what I know, you know, but again, they've got different names across cultures. We all have different things that according to our own ancestry or according to our own like realities of where we live right now. Like, for example, this is a good one because I know a lot of Christians are like, oh my God. So Jesus Christ is a guide of mine. Jesus Christ is a beautiful guide. Christ consciousness is an amazing consciousness, an amazing concept. It is love consciousness. It is the idea that all of us are created equal and in the image and likeness of God, and that what we do to ourselves, we must do to others. When you really check out Jesus and you really read the New Testament and you really listen to his message, he is a spectacular human being. Yeshua is actually his real name, by the way, because he's from the Levant. But you know that like this is what I mean. Like there are so many prophets in these stories, in these books, that are legitimate in a lot of ways, in terms of spiritual law, in terms of the way that we should be conducting ourselves here on this planet. The issue with institutionalized religion, though, is that it disconnects you so deeply from yourself and so deeply from the truth of its doctrine that you allow pastors who are idols to become your idols, who steal from you, who steal from the poor, who commit all kinds of fraud and lying and adultery and all kinds of things that go against their own doctrine. You know what I mean? The thing is that we separate ourselves. We take their word as God's word. We take man's word as God's word instead of listening to what's actually happening across religions, across cultures. And the word God and the word Jesus and the word angels doesn't resonate for everyone, but their essence, the concept of what they're teaching us, and the energy of love and humanity and peace and harmony and reciprocity and dignity and respect and honor for one another, for life, for the land that feeds us, for the waters that we come from and that house us and that nurture our spirits and our bodies in this realm. This is all connected and together. And no matter what doctrine you pick up, that essence, if it's not present, it is not of God. It is not of love. It has nothing to do with reality. And if the person on the pulpit is preaching hatred, they are not speaking for Jesus Christ. They are not speaking for Yeshua. They are not speaking for God, because God is not that. Point blank, period. And that is across doctrine, that is across cultures, that is across spirituality. Because essence and oneness and connection to all that is, and becoming aware of the fact that you are energy and that you can manipulate energy. Manipulate has a bad, you know, rep as a word, but like truly you can take what I want to also talk about, and the real point of why I want you to understand or be aware of your spiritual power,
Mm.
is that we can take all of the pain, all of the pain, the capacity for pain that you have is the capacity for healing, is the capacity for love, is the capacity for light. And so if we take the time to tap in when we feel distressed, when we feel discouraged, when we feel anxious, depressed, helpless, sadness, when we feel grief, when we feel disgust, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that come up when you have to watch this shit, when you have to watch these politicians lie verbatim about things, when there is this end, like, and we have to debate it, we have to like prove ourselves in the midst of someone gaslighting the very real reality of violence that we've all witnessed for thousands of years together. Okay, this is a human history. This isn't even just white people, if I'm being honest. This is like across cultures. We like the whole I control this and this is mine and not yours and I want more, because the resource wars have been here. Okay, but it's our responsibility now that we're more interconnected than ever to understand how we can transmute this pain, transmute this shit, and call upon our ancestors, call upon these guides, call upon the light to take it from us and use it for something else, use it for something more. The universe doesn't know the difference between good and bad energy. We humans put our own judgments and prescriptions of what energy is good or bad. So when you take those bad emotions that are overwhelming and just kind of sit on your chest and you don't know what the fuck to do with them, when you take those and you give them to the universe and you're like, hey, take this super potent energy and do something with this because I don't want it anymore and it's not mine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you ask them and you direct them, hey, I want, this is something that I've been doing throughout these 40 days that we've been watching this genocide. I say, take this, that I can't do nothing with this. Take this and use it as light. And I visualize that energy going over the people in Palestine, in Gaza. And I imagine it as like this golden light dripping over them and protecting them like a blanket. And like just covering them. And like I imagine and I visualize moments where, let's say, a mother and her son are running away from something and something is about to hit them, but because of my blanket of golden light, it missed them miraculously. I don't know how, but it did. Or this person happens to turn his head to the left and find that he can find water over there in that corner. Like just visualizing a reality over these people that protects them, over these people that keeps them safe, over these people that also calls for the opening of minds and hearts that are corrupted by lies and propaganda, so that we can collectively understand that it's our responsibility to free each other.
Mm-hmm. And that's all what spirituality is really
Yes.
about. It's about, I always ask myself the question, like, if your spiritual tools can be utilized for a community, who does it really serve? Who's it really for? And this is the time that we can be for the community. I know a lot of spiritualists are struggling with figuring out, how can I be a part of this liberation process? What can I do that's revolutionary? The work that you're already doing is revolutionary. You just expand, gathering people who are like-minded like yourself, creating community altar builds on crossroad intersections.
Yes.
At the same time, if you are into Orisha practices, Shango, Ogun, Eshu, feeding them all at once, collective ancestral feeding. That's something that we can push through the energy. We are not helpless. Our spiritual practices have always been for the resilience and the liberations of peoples.
Shout out to
And we
Shout out to Haiti.
Haiti, for real. Haiti, America, the creation of hoodoo, the birth of hoodoo through resilient practices. Incredible. This
Yes,
is not anything new. This is something that we just have to remember within ourselves.
absolutely. And collectively.
Mm.
And we can pray this protection over ourselves. We can transmute all these negative things into protection more than anything over our own energies. And then we push that out onto and over other people outside of ourselves.
Mm.
Again, we have to collectively get free. Like that is the only way it's going to happen, is if we all realize it's all of our responsibility.
It is.
And in all the different ways that you can get free. Because getting free doesn't just mean like not physically being in a cage. It's like spiritually, mentally. Is your
It's your.
mind free? Do you think for yourself, or are you told what to think?
Mm.
Are you told how to feel? Are you told what is acceptable and unacceptable for you? Be mindful of who tells you how to behave and in what way.
Mm.
It's about freeing ourselves from all of the ways that colonialism has enabled us to be our own cops, our own colonizers, our own masters in our brains.
Mm. Very
We
true.
stop ourselves before we even allow ourselves to become what we really are. And most of us are not allowing ourselves to really bring our mission to reality on this planet because we're so disconnected.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
unless all of us are moving according to our missions, we're going to continue to see chaos. We're going to continue to see belligerent death. We're going to continue to see these empires that be move exactly as they always have and they always will, unless we choose differently.
Mm.
They're not going to stop as long as they profit. They don't care as long as the dollar is there. They don't care.
Always been that. It's always been capital.
It's always been that. Extractive capitalism, you know?
Kind of like wicked force that attempts to destroy your spirit.
Yes.
And everything around you.
Everything.
It is a virus. That's what it is.
Yes, indeed.
Mm.
Yes, indeed. And so it can be detoxed.
Mm.
It can be taken out. It can be healed. It can be moved. It can be shifted. And we don't even need everybody to agree. That's the thing about it. Like, I'm not trying to convince nobody who doesn't understand what we're talking about to do this. I'm just trying to give everyone who hears this message and who it resonates with, I want to give you guys an option. I want you to know that you are not powerless. I want you to know that you are endless possibility. I want you to know that when you tap the fuck in, you are more powerful than these motherfuckers with a tank.
Mm.
You are. Because your soul is going to transcend this place after we all die, because we're all going to die. It sucks. Yeah, whatever. We're all scared of it. But at the end of this is why I'm saying, like, we got this life right now. We have the possibility. We have a full-blown open canvas in front of us as a collective right now in this exact moment to rewrite what is reality.
Mm-hmm.
We can only do that if we're all tapping in with our highest selves and the best and like holding ourselves accountable to showing up as that everyday lives. And granted, none of us are perfect. We are all unlearning these systems that are extremely violent, extremely pervasive, extremely like mind fucking, you know, like and then they still haven't admitted anything that they've done. There's no accountability at all in the world right now. Because for accountability to be taken, things have to be confronted and deconstructed in ways that they're not ready to do. They're not ready for it. But we have to be like, all right, but you're not ready, but we don't really give a fuck. It's happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have to dismantle this because this is crazy.
And what I don't, when I look at all these oppressive like regimes happening and tyranny, I always just like ask myself, like, don't they realize that the creator is watching? Don't they realize that
They don't serve the creator, baby.
castle that they're creating for
They,
themselves is
they
a
don't yeah.
temple over?
Yeah.
And it always going to start with the spiritual stuff. Like spirituality and spirits within our environment are always going to show us when revolution or liberation or resilience is about to surge. Like I think about how the orcas were like toppling ships in the water. And now we're seeing a whole humanity crisis kind of occurring and just fighting for their lives. Like you see how spirit in the environment speaks to us. They notify us. And especially the water spirits and the spirits within the water in general. Like they are very heavy on making sure that we are all in alignment with our highest good.
Amen.
Hmm.
I mean, there, it's like all of our survival is interdependent. All of us. And that's the thing, is like people who think that not like things like this are none of their concern, or who think that they don't have an impact. They want you to think.
Yeah.
That's how they thrive, is off of our silence, is off of our indifference, is off of us, is off of our disempowerment, off of us not knowing or not realizing or tapping into how powerful we each are, and then together are. Because I'm talking individually to wake yourself up, but then when you wake up, you're like, wait, collective, together. Wait a minute. A lot of bitches have gone through what I've gone through. Wait a minute. I'm not alone here. Wait a minute. Oh, we're affected by those same systems, by those same dudes. Like, that's me too. You know? And then that spreads. And that's what we're seeing right now, is like a serious collective awakening to what has been up. So yeah, I just wanted to give people like tools and ideas.
And perspective shifts and narrative shifts. That's really all that starts and begins, is the narrative. Like, we can give people the tools all that we want, but if they don't feel like they're good enough for it, quote unquote good enough, or ready enough, or have fear, then that's when it's like, okay, whose lies am I listening to? Who's really in my head that is stopping me from reaching back or opening myself up to my environment? And once we kind of flip that perspective and get right with, like, you know, the ori, the self, the inner self, and feel the creator's love and everything, it really does create a domino effect, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I enjoyed this. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Yes, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your time. I really appreciate you. Do you mind shouting your books out one more time so people can get more acquainted?
Of course. I have my book, Ancestor Said, 365 Introspections for Emotional Healing, is currently out. In my upcoming book, Spirits Come From Water, an introduction to ancestral veneration and African spirituality, it comes out next year.
Yes.
On December 3rd, about ancestral healing, if y'all want to come on that.
You're doing a live, you said?
Class, actually, on December 3rd, ancestral healing.
Where's that?
It's on Zoom, so everybody and anybody can come.
Okay, cool.
I'll link.
Well, sorry, what?
I'll link in my bio.
Perfect. Well, thank you again so much for joining us, Ehime. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me, Lauren. Take good care.
You too, love. Peace and blessings over you.